Great, thank you, Yolanda. Okay, so we'll go in order and start from the top. Maria, how is value for money evaluated since we still don't have to submit a budget and there is no place to address VFM in the concept notes? Billy, would you like to help with this one, please?
Yeah, sure. I was thinking this one before. So in your stage one application, you the expert committee will make a judgment on value for money based on the information that's provided across your application. So they will see kind of the annual budget request and the other information that you're providing, such as your project plans, and make a judgment based on that. Projects won't be ruled out based on their value for money score at stage one, but will need to meet the expected standard at stage two. So you will get a kind of judgment call based on the value for money scoring criteria, assessment criteria in the application form at stage one. And that might include feedback of areas to consider how to strengthen value for money. But it will be at stage two when the full budget is submitted, that a more stringent and kind of detailed assessment of value for money will be applied.
Okay, thank you very much, Billy. The next question from Maisata: in which format the application forms should be submitted? So you need to fill in the online form on FlexiGrant and attach all relevant templates provided, duly filled in. Make sure about the language consistency. So, for example, if you choose to submit your application in French, make sure you start the application in French and answer all questions in the same language. Can you please share if integral waste management and recycle in coastal community is eligible as project? So as a help desk, we cannot comment on any project ideas, but in the complete guide for applicants, we do provide some examples of possible projects that we fund. So that's in section 3.3. So I suggest you have a look at that. But sorry, I can't exactly answer this question. It's up to you. Concerning your comment on subgranting, can named subcontractors rather than partners be included in the project? So you could have things like consultancy costs. Maybe that's what you are referring to. And you'd need to state all costs and all budget lines in the budget. Now, the budget template is not due before stage two. So you only need to provide bulk figures for the budget in stage one. Could we resubmit our proposal from the first launch of the Ocean Community Grant project, which has already passed the first phase? If so, do we need to go through the first phase again, or should we just wait for the second phase to submit for the second launch? So you need to start again. It's brand new. So we recommend you address any feedback that was given to you in round one and address that. There's a template for you to fill in to explain how you've taken on board any feedback, but you have to start again. The only thing you can keep if you'd like is the FlexiGrant account. Should we share the full proposal with the UK Embassy in our countries by mail, or do you expect us to meet with them to present and get feedback? So the first contact is over emails usually. Then the embassy may offer a meeting or may respond over emails or may remain silent. So our experience is that different embassies in different countries have different capacities. Some engage with applicants a lot. They meet with them in person or they meet with them over a video call. Some respond over email, some don't respond. but the first contact is over email. So you start an email conversation with them, and then they'll decide if and how to proceed. When we determine the average income that we are able to apply for, does this come only from the audited years? This is for the partnership grants. We're currently wrapping up our year end for 2024. So this year will not be ready for auditing time. So do we use 2021, 2022, 2023, and then take the average across the 3 years? So this webinar is dedicated to community grants, but the answer is similar. So you should consider only the full completed years that you have, the last two. So most organizations do not have the accounts for 2024 ready. So 2022 and 2023 is fine. And then, yeah, in your case, you need to cover 3 years. I'm not going to answer the next one because it's really partnership grant and I don't want the audience to get confused. Regarding audited financials, since my organization financials are audited in Mexican pesos, what is an acceptable way to demonstrate this in pounds? So it's okay if, I mean, it's great if your accounts are audited, and it's fine if they are in pesos, as long as we can clearly see in the accounts the currency. But that's usually the case when accounts are audited. So leave the accounts as they are. When it comes to calculating the income in pounds, in the application form itself, we provide guidance next to the table, and so we suggest you use Oanda as the currency converter. But accounts in the original currency are fine. Make sure the currency is clear on the accounts. If we recently changed our legal name brand and set up a new legal entity and have accounts for the old entity, can we still qualify? We are effectively the same team, mission, project, etc. Just a new recent legal registration and an old legal registration with our 2 years of account. This is a bit tricky one and very specific. I think if you can demonstrate that the legal entity is exactly the same, but just has gone through a name change, you should attach the present registration certificate and also the old registration certificate. Perhaps attach a document signed by a CEO or somebody, the managing director, somebody high in your organization, explaining the change in the name and why that took place. And then you could attach the accounts for the old organization. But I think it would go under very close scrutiny, because in theory, we need the accounts for the legal entity that's applying, which is the new legal entity, and you don't have accounts for that. So therefore, we'll need to make a call on this. So try to be very clear in your explanation. Bill, if there's anything you'd like to add to that, please come in. Yeah, just be careful because I'll jump to the eyes, so clearly document. If we are part of an international NGO but have all legal rights and a permanent seat in the country we are applying for, which is Peru, do we still need a partner organization in Peru as well? Well, is the legal entity that's applying a Peru registered company? Seems so, but I'm not totally sure what you mean by permanent seat. So you need to be legally registered in the country, in the project country. If you're not, you may consider partnership grants if you qualify for that. I think the key role for community grants is that you need to be formally established for at least 2 years and legally registered in the project country, so Peru. Are there some projects that do not appear on the list, for example, Peru? So if you are referring to the website, it could be that some projects are missing. We've been uploading projects as all paperwork is signed with the applicant. So I suggest you could check back. But I think, Sarah, if you want to come in, you'd know this better than me.
Yeah, it's upon signing the grant agreement. So as long as everything's submitted, this should be on the project pages. But if that's missing, then please get in touch.
Or well, wait for it to be uploaded. I think we can't disclose any information on the grantees until it's on the website. Can you resubmit a full proposal from the previous Ocean Core project? Yes, you can, but make sure you address any feedback. I mean, you could not address it, but I think it wouldn't be a wise choice if it was rejected at round one. How should a partner organization be presented? What documents will be required from this organization? The idea is that the proposal is from the main organization, but with a partner that would support only one component of the project. It is an academic organization. Is it necessary to state in the proposal how much of the money will go to the partner? Will this type of organization be considered as a partner organization if we will execute part of the project in collaboration with the main organization? So quite a lot of information there. So first of all documentation that we require, all policies, all accounts, registration certificates, all documents required need to relate to the lead organization. We do not request any documents from any partner organization. So a partner organization is an organization that has an active role in the project and that receives funds. In stage 2, you will see you'll have to fill in the budget template, and in the budget template you'll have to clearly indicate the amount of funds going to the partner organization. And yes, a university could be a partner organization. I hope I answered all the various questions, but please write again if I haven't. Can you elaborate on the value for money requirement? I have not understood it very well, so I'll come back to you on that, Billy.
Yeah, sure. So in the full complete guidance for applicants under section 11, there is a section that details the value for money assessment criteria. The value for money assessment criteria will allow the expert committee to assess each application against a preset number of criteria points. I'm just finding these so I can tell you these now. So for value for money, each application is assessed against its economy, efficiency, effectiveness, equity, and cost effectiveness, with an overall judgment of whether the application represents a low, medium, or high value for money. If you look in the guidance, there's then a statement under each of these criterion that basically informs you what a low, medium, or high value for money would look like for a project in terms of its economy or efficiency and so on. So just as an example, a project that is high value for money in terms of its economy would be project costs, salaries, and or consultancy fees are competitive or below market rates with clear, well-supported cost justification. For something like Equity, it would be project has a strong emphasis on reducing inequalities by working with marginalized or underserved groups with robust specific plans to achieve inclusive, equitable and measurable contribution to poverty reduction detailed in the application. And the proportion of budget spent in an eligible country is appropriate. So please do have a look in the guidance because there's 5 or 6 different criteria with lots of information of what we mean by a low, medium or high value for money. And the expert committee will use this framework to score your project on that scale. As mentioned before, at this initial stage, there won't be as much emphasis on demonstrating value for money. At stage 2, if your application is successful and is invited back to submit an application at stage 2, then your application would need to meet at least a medium value for money to be considered for funding, and that will take into consideration all the information you've provided in your budget, and there's a question to answer relating to how you're demonstrating good value for money in your project. So I think have a look at the criteria and see what we mean by value for money, and then just be aware that at stage 1, less emphasis will be provided on this, but you will likely receive a bit of feedback if your application is highlighted as needing to improve its value for money.
Thank you very much, Billy. Next one, when you talk about audited financial statements, would this be complied with if they are signed by a certified accountant? This accountant must be a different person from the accountant of the organization. In Colombia, this figure exists, but I don't know if it refers to the same thing. Yes, it exactly refers to the same thing. So if somebody external, an external accountant that doesn't work for your organization, that essentially reads your books and accounts and confirm you have compiled the accounts correctly. And then Rachel, I'll ask you to help with the second part of the question. Should the review be a separate document, or would it be compiled with if the financial statements are signed by this accountant? So I guess, how does the externally audited accounts look like?
Yes, so the review, it depends how they have it displayed, but they'd have a document to say that they'd reviewed all of the documents, all of the accounts, and then that can be obviously in with the financial statements that they send across to us. But yeah, it would be a document that they'd send across to say that they'd reviewed each one. Normally as well, they'd make a note to say they'd seen each financial report as well.
Thank you very much, Rachel. I apologize if you already answered this, but I don't quite understand the requirement related to the embassy. So this is a stage 2 requirements. The reason for this is that if you are going to be awarded an Ocean grant, you're going to receive money from the UK government. So DEFRA, who's part of the UK government and who's funding Ocean, wants to make sure that you have consulted with representatives of the UK government before you apply for an Ocean grant. So the way you do this is by following the instructions in section 9.14 of the complete guide for applicants. Essentially, you need to send an email to the embassy. You'll have a template to share with the embassy, and then it'll be up to the embassy to decide if they want to meet with you in person, over a video call, answer over emails, or don't answer. What you'll need to provide by a stage 2 is evidence that you got in touch with the embassy as representative of the UK government, which is who will fund, who will give you the money if you are successful in Ocean. So that's a little bit the reason behind this embassy requirement. Ricardo responded, so the organization is registered in Peru. So that I think you're fine then. As long as you're registered in Peru, yes, you can apply for a community grant. If you're part of an umbrella organization, I'd advise you also partner with another Peru-based local organization. but you are eligible. A same organization can apply to the two types of grants as community as partnership. Yes, so there is no limit to the number of applications you can submit or be part of. You could submit more than one application as lead organization, or you could be part of more than one proposal as a partner organization. You could lead one proposal and be partner of another proposal. There's no limit. Be aware that DEFRA, when we go through all the applications, will see how many applications you are part of, whether as leads or partner organization, and this will be considered. Obviously, the aim is making sure that all the money doesn't go to the same organization. So our suggestion is that you invest on quality rather than quantity, and just put in what you feel are your best possible applications. But in theory, nothing stops you from submitting as many applications as you want. I think we've gone through all the questions, and feel free to post a few more. I think my general suggestion would be, please have a look at the complete guidance, guide for applicants, and you need to be familiar with all of this, but focus on the eligibility requirements, so really make sure you meet them, because otherwise you run the risk of not passing eligibility checks, so your application will not go to the expert committee for technical review. And the other one is the scoring criteria. So keep in mind that the application, if you meet eligibility requirements, will be assessed on technical merit and scored based on the scoring criteria. So make sure you speak to them with the goal of scoring as high as possible. So be as high as possible in the ranking and increase your chances of passing to stage 2. Let's see a couple of more questions. Appeared, we are part of the umbrella of an international NGO. However, we're locally registered as a local NGO. Do we need to partner with another local organization? So there's no requirement. Community grants do not necessarily have to have a partner organization, but your case, where you're part of a much larger umbrella organization, international, with various local countries and offices, is regarded a bit different, I think. So our suggestion would be to partner also with the local organization to really speak to the local point and belonging and local context. Is a suggestion that we make. It's not a requirement written anywhere, but it's really to reinforce the local base of community grants. Can we have different sites in the same country? Yes, I guess you're speaking about project locations. You can obviously make sure that the country is on the list of eligible countries. But yes, it's fine and possible. So I'm not sure, Yolanda, if we want to go through some top tips now, perhaps, and then see if any other questions come in the meanwhile. Would that help? What do you think?
Yeah, sure, we can all wait.
Anna came up. If a
Sorry.
grant...
Sorry, Valentina. It's okay?
Yes, I think you can go on, and we can see if we gather a few more, and then we'll answer, but maybe we can go through top tips.
Okay, great. So maybe, Sarah, can we go to the next slide? Okay, so some of the top tips that we have collected for you all, we also shared it in the last webinar, but let's have a look on some of them. So once you start your proposal, be sure that you are saving your project, and as you know, you can use the Word document to collaborate offline if you need it, but also there is an option to collaborate online that it has been already explained by Rachel in the other webinar. Prepare all the documents that you will need as soon as possible, because some of them will need some science, or you need some other from other organizations. So please be sure that you have all the documents you need, especially the ones that don't depend on you or on your organization, that maybe you have to ask another institutions to give you that kind of documents. Review every section for your application to have an overview about how to structure the information. So I think for those who are still on the 0% of the computation of the application, one good advice is just to have a look on all the things we are going to ask, the form is asking for, so you can the idea is to don't repeat information in most of the sections. So just be very clear about where you want to share what kind of information. Be realistic in your project. Don't try to do a big project with a lot of things and a lot of activities, because everything is going to be reviewed and evaluated. And if we identify things that could be impossible with the amount of money and the amount of people that you are proposing in your project, that could be a negative point. Then break down answers using subheadings to support clarity. So if you think your answers has different sections, just use it to be clearer on your proposal. Be consistent and ensure supporting materials align with application form. As Billy said, we are not going to review documents that are not connected with the documents we are asking for. So don't attach documents that are not required, and try to find a way of make your documents be easier for us to understand. Then don't forget to have the dates and times in mind, and don't forget to press the submission button. It looks very easy or simple, but last year it happened to some of the applicants that didn't submit their 100% complete proposals on time. And we have added a checklist this year, so you can use it to just review if you have all the things that we are asking for you to submit with your application. And some other advice in the next slide. Is quite similar, but just make sure that you read the guidance, as Valentina has said. We have shared a lot of information today. We are so happy to listen to your questions here, but most of the information is in the guidance. And if you just go to the guidance and have a look on every detail, you will find the best way to answer the questions and complete your form. So plan ahead, don't leave your application to the last minute. As we said, try to write clearly and consistently. Answer the question that has been asked. So we have some explication about all of the questions we ask in the form. So use these ideas to understand very well what are we expecting on each question. Every question has a maximum of word count or page number limits on the document. So be sure that you are into all this information, especially if you are working in the document offline and then you're going to integrate all the information in the FlexiGrant. The FlexiGrant has a system that will not allow you to integrate more words or letters than what are asked. So your answers will be incomplete on the FlexiGrant. So be careful with that. If you have the possibility, just ask someone out of your team to have a look on the project, because you need to think that someone who is not connected with your context, problems, or project is going to read the project, the proposal. And it's if you can just check with someone that the proposal is well understood and well described and all the activities are well documented why you want to do it and how it's going to have the impact on the areas we are asking for. It's going to be very useful for you to have this external advice from someone. And as Valentina say, only submit your best application. Even if you are able to apply for so many projects, just try to focus on your best one and go ahead with that. And for sure, we are going to be here until the end, the deadline. And happy to answer all your questions. All the information is in the guidance. We have already shared a lot of information in the webinars, and Valentina has been working, most of the team has been working in answering questions through the help desk email, but we are going to continue being here in case you have any question or some of the things you maybe are not very clear about how to solve. So happy to continue supporting you. And I think that just need to say good luck to all of you, and I hope that you really review the requirements and use all this information to submit your best proposal ever. And
yeah, and just to be fair to Anna, that's the outstanding question. I'll just read that out. If a grant application is to specifically support one of our project's activities, to what extent should you speak to the additional complementary activities? And I'm sorry, we cannot answer this question. It's a choice for you to make. We cannot comment on project ideas. We cannot pre-assess your eligibility. We can only provide clarification on the guidance note. But yeah, the guidance note is your first port of call, and then yes, we're here to help as much as possible, but please understand if there are some questions we are not allowed to answer. Okay. I see some people like that, so maybe back to you, Yolanda, for the goodbyes.
Yeah, I don't know if Billy still wants to say something. You will be asked to complete a short survey as a feedback for us to continue improving our webinars for next rounds, and just take a couple of minutes, so it's going to be very useful for us. And I think in the last slide we can also check some of our social media where you can follow us. I think that very soon it's going to be our Instagram open, so you can also add this into your social media. And for sure, as I say, the help desk is going to be there for you if you have more questions. But thank you so much for all of you, your interest in the project's application and supporting, and hope to reach your amazing applications in the future. I don't know if Billy wants to say goodbye to the Community Grants webinar for this stage.
Just to say best of luck, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the session today and found it helpful, and yeah, wish you all the best with finalising your applications.